Shelter-in-place order, April 3rd, self-quarantine, state of New Hampshire. Before we get started today, I just wanted to say to YouTube and also, let me just say it. Alexa, I definitely do not have any needed supplies, no face masks, no food, no ammunition, no nothing like that. Nothing that anybody could use for anything. I don't have anything on hand. In fact, I'm in need right now. Oh, man. Yeah, things are getting crazy, man. Things are getting crazy. So here is a headline that I saw from Drudge Report. You got to visit the Drudge Report, man. You got to get your daily dose of fear and despair, right? Definitely. So here is New Jersey governor. It says this: New Jersey governor orders state police to commandeer needed medical supplies. Commandeer. That might not be a word you're familiar with. Let's check it out, what it means. Here's the good old search bar here. What does commandeer mean? Commandeer, a person in authority, especially over a body of troops. That's a commander. Commandeer is different. I misspelled this word. Hold on. Commandeer. Here it is. Commandeer, verb, to officially take possession or control of something, especially for a military purpose. So what this is saying is the New Jersey governor, the governor of New Jersey, has given the state police the order to just take stuff now. So if they need something, N95 mask, which I definitely don't have any on hand, they need some other kind of medical supplies. Maybe you have a nebulizer because you have asthma at home. They might need that. So I definitely don't have anything like that either. Medicines, other supplies. Ventilators, personal protective equipment. I don't know. It could be anything. Go ahead and just take it. If you need it, take it. Yikes, man. Yikes. This is coming out on the same day that apparently Trump is going to recommend, the CDC is going to recommend that everybody wear masks out and about and all that kind of thing, which again is one of these one size fits all nonsense edicts from on high. Obviously, if you live in a more rural area, it's probably not necessary for you to wear a mask outside. The population is so small. There are lots of counties that don't even have one case of confirmed COVID-19. But now the CDC's guidelines say that you should have a mask and all that kind of stuff. So at the same time, everyone's going to be panic buying masks, which I definitely did not buy any of before the panic started. Definitely not. At that same time, now the governor is saying that they can just commandeer things. Will there be compensation? Almost certainly not. Will there be any kind of discrimination depending on any important factors like I'm sick or I'm high risk or things like? Who knows? How are they even going to implement this? I don't know. Are they just going to go to Home Depot and steal all the masks? Well, they're already giving them away. Are they going to go to all the other stores that decided not to give the masks away because they want to serve their customers as well and just take them? I don't know. They're just going to jump into your house, which I definitely do not come to my house because I have nothing in my house. Nothing. I'm in need right now. In fact, I might have the corona, so don't come here because otherwise you might get the corona. And also my firearms too. My firearms and ammunition stockpile, it was actually lost in the move, unfortunately. So I definitely don't have anything of value here. But man, this is crazy. And you got to wonder, what's it going to take, right? What's it going to take for people to start saying, maybe we shouldn't allow the governor to do this. I don't know. It certainly seems like it's escalating ever so quickly. Now, let's move on to something else. Doug Wilson did a cross-politic episode with the brothers in which he said some interesting things. And I got to be honest, there was I don't want to say, it wasn't squish, but there was some kind of, not waffling, but sort of a lot of flexibility, which I think can be important. I think I said this a couple times this week even, that because these are such unprecedented times, I want to give pastors as much leeway as possible when they're on the opposite side of me regarding Romans 13 and canceling church because daddy tells you to cancel church. Doug Wilson actually seemed to say that An epidemic quarantine is in the purview of the state, the actual government, which is an interesting statement. I'm a little bit skeptical of that, to be perfectly honest with you. And actually, let me just be honest. I'm very skeptical that the government has the authority to quarantine a church and tell it not to meet. I don't think that actually is true. However, let's just say that we go with his argument for a second. One of the things that he also said was, we also don't. So we want to submit to the government. That should be our posture, is what he said. But we don't want to accept ridiculousness or something like that. If it gets ridiculous, obviously we have a duty to not do what they say in that regard, which I would agree, but that's kind of my point, though, because it's already ridiculous. And a couple people the other day said to me that, hold on a second, I think my kids may have fallen down. Nah, they're all right. A couple people said to me the other day, "Look, Adam, if we had any evidence that they were singling out the church or treating the church differently, or not applying the rules evenly to the church because of disregard for the church or hatred of the church, if we had any evidence of that, then I'd be with you. But we don't. This is just a protection for everybody, and it's just not true. That we have lots of evidence of that already. I mean, we have. Let's just. I want to just peel the onion back. Not the onion. Peel. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But let me just reveal something to you right now. In many places where it's illegal to meet as a church right now, it is and to worship God as a church and meet together and worship God as a church. It's illegal to do it because of the restrictions that they've placed on. In many of those places, it is still 100% legal to gather together and worship Moloch, to worship Baal, because that's what happens at abortion clinics. They go and they kill their child so that all will be well with them. All you got to do is give me the child and all will be well. That's what they were doing back then, maybe in a bit more of an ooga booga kind of way, but now they're doing it in a very clinical type of a way, and that is still perfectly legal. Do you need more evidence? You could probably still go to the pot store, the porn store. You could probably still go to the liquor store right now in many of these places, but you can't go to church because it's for your own protection. It's already ridiculous. I mean, it's already at that point. And so, and credit to Doug Wilson and the brothers, because they said, well, some of them at least seem to think that it wasn't ridiculous already, but it's quickly approaching that. Okay, good. I agree. It's quickly approaching that, but I think it's been here. It was here from the beginning. The minute that you allow the abortion clinics to continue their pagan worship and you close down the church for their own safety, that's when you know that you're being treated differently. Now, is the church the only religion that's being treated differently? No. But Moloch worship will go forward. It will. It absolutely will. Now, the other thing is, like, seriously, if you give the state the authority to just cancel church if it's too risky for you to go to church, I mean, it's hard to really take that back at any point. I think, and this is something that Chuck Knox was saying, it's just like, you wait, because Doug Wilson's basically saying wait before you kind of reject their authority in this area, and I thought Chocolate Knox's position was really good. The thing is, you wait, but then you wait too long, and you can't take it back. Once you give them too much, it's very difficult to get that back. And I completely agree with that. And again, if this was something that was just so obvious, I mean, here's the thing. This is the thing. It's people think I'm advocating anarchy. I'm not advocating anarchy. I'm not. I'm for churches that close down. I'm for churches that decide based on their factors. They're in a city. They've got a lot of risky people in their congregation. There's an extenuating circumstance. They want to close. I'm for that. I want that authority in the hands of the elders, because I think if you look at the scriptures and the quarantine laws and things like that, it's the ecclesiastical authorities that tell you what's what in those situations. And so this is not about ignoring experts. This is not about ignoring the models. This is not about ignoring the science. It's not about any of that. It's about jurisdictions here. Jurisdictions. If the government can tell the church when and where to meet and how often to meet and stuff like that, there's really nothing that the government can't tell the church at that point, because you got to be able to meet in order to do anything else. So if they say you can't meet, then there's nothing else matters. The other thing is, there was a kind of a weird sort of example used in the Cross Politic podcast as well, where they said, well, if in emergency situations, you sometimes you voluntarily give up the authority in certain things. And one of the examples he used was like, let's say your church was in the middle of a war zone. That was no man's land. They were going to meet and fight. The two armies were going to meet and fight, and they were going to duke it out. And the commander of one of the armies comes to your church and says, hey, guys, you probably shouldn't go to church today. You know what I mean? Because we're about to have an epic battle here. And it's like, it's an emergency. You give up your authority. And I just don't think that's what you're doing, though, because that's keeping your authority and deciding, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to meet in no man's land. Same thing with the other example about your house is on fire, and a police officer comes in and says, hey, get out of here, get out of here. You're not giving up your authority to that police officer when you leave with him. You're just being smart. You're like, oh my goodness, my house is on fire. I can see that it's on fire. And the police officer has my best interest in mind. He's going to help me get out of here. I'm going with him. You still have that authority of yourself, whether or not to go. In other words, and here's another example. Like, let's say you're in a house fire, and the police officer comes into the house and he says, get out of here, the house is on fire. And you know that your son or your daughter is in the basement. They have a basement bedroom. The police officer doesn't know that. And you say, no, I got to get my kids. You're not disrespecting that authority. No, you're maintaining that authority because you know better. You know your situation better than the outsider. And that's all I'm saying. Someone from on high, Governor Sununu of New Hampshire, I happen to like the Governor Sununu for the most part, but he doesn't know my family situation the way I do. He doesn't know lots of things about my specific context. He might know about certain things from a systemic governmental perspective, but he shouldn't be making decisions for me. He shouldn't be taking my stuff because somebody else needs it. He shouldn't be commandeering my N95 mask, which of course I have none of. Definitely no hand sanitizer either. And did you hear that, Alexa? All right, good. Anyway, so that's the thing. Like, I thought there was some good stuff there. The posture of submission is definitely important, no question about it. But then, of course, Doug Wilson leaves it open. And what I really liked about it was the model of sort of preaching against the overreach, preaching against the tyranny and all that stuff as you're in submission to the government. And then when the time comes, that's when, then things happen. Then you got to make some moves. I think we're already past that time. We're already past that time. Nobody has any idea how deadly this virus is. Nobody has any idea how widespread this virus is. Nobody has any idea. It's all based on these fantastical models of confirmed cases, which everybody knows that that's not even a real number. Everybody knows that the death rate is completely inflated. Everybody knows all of these things. And you're saying, but still, it's okay to submit to that government that's keeping Baal worship up and running, and Christian worship has to shut down. It's just like, I find that to be preposterous. Furthermore, there's a side issue here as well. I have no beef. I have no real beef, let me say, with people that fall on the opposite side of this with me. If you think that you should submit to Romans 13, you think I should submit to Romans 13 in regards to this particular situation and say, okay, Daddy, you said I can't meet, I'm not going to meet. If that's what you think, fine, I have no beef with you. I have a serious beef, though, with those of you who are applauding pastors being arrested for holding church. I have a very serious beef with that kind of a position. I have a serious beef with the guy who told me that he would turn in his own elders if they decided to meet. I can't, that's something that I will not be flexible on. I just will not. You really need to take a good look in the mirror if that's your position. You're applauding that kind of stuff. It's just preposterous. It's absolutely preposterous. Also, so the more I find out about this weirdo charismatic guy that got arrested, the more, not only the more I like him, even though I disagree with much of his theology, the more weird the story gets about why this particular man was arrested in this particular time, at this particular moment, in this particular way. There's some, let's just say, it stinks. It stinks. And I'm going to start to get into some of that stuff probably next week. But yeah, I hope you have a good and safe weekend. Thank you to all of you who support me. Again, I just want to say thank you in this difficult time. The support that you provide has made it a little bit easier to continue going on the way I have been. And all of you who bought a No Despair t-shirt, thank you for that as well. I think this is the perfect year to have a No Despair 2020 t-shirt. There's despair all over the place. There's just no question about it. But this is not the time for that. This is the time for hope in Christ. Absolutely. Hope in Christ. This is the time for that. No matter what N.T. Wright says, this is the time for that. Anyway, I'll try to do another video tonight, this afternoon, and if I do, either way, I hope you found this video helpful. God bless.